Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. With contempt for the facts, disregard of the risks, and knowing full well he was lying to his audience, Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection.
These are the pictures you've seen of January 6th. They're familiar because they've been playing on a loop on every media outlet in America for the last 2 years. There's a reason for that. But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th.
I don't think I've ever seen a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. And he's going to come back tonight with another segment. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment. And Speaker McCarthy is every bit as culpable as Mr. Carlson.
So Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are trying to hide evidence from you. As you saw from that clip, Tucker Carlson, you could say whatever you want about him, but he made it clear that it was a riot. He showed footage from the riot. And I just think that anytime you hear that it's cherry-picked footage from Tucker Carlson, that's clearly not true. He starts off his entire segment of footage with riot footage. And then he provides new footage that has never been before seen. So it's hardly cherry-picked. I was watching The View earlier, and they were like, oh, why did he show this footage? It's because he's trying to show an honest depiction of what happened that day, while also showing that there's new footage. And specifically about the QAnon Shaman, that's a big deal. The lawyer of QAnon Shaman said that he didn't have that footage of Jacob Chansley walking around with the police officers in a peaceful way. The Supreme Court ruled in it's in this article. Yeah, Supreme Court case U.S. v. Brady, which cemented the prosecutors must turn over relevant information to defense attorneys, particularly exculpatory evidence. Now, this may not be completely exculpatory evidence, and if you haven't seen it, I'm surprised if you haven't seen it if you're watching this video. But if you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it. It's easy. You just do QAnon Shaman or Tucker Carlson January 6th. It's going to be like the number 1 or number 2 hit on YouTube. You should go watch it. But it shows this QAnon Shaman, Jacob Chansley, walking around with police officers, an arm's length of something like 9 police officers at one point. They're trying to open doors. Now, the doors are blurred out, so we can't really see what doors are trying to be open for them, or for him. But it's pretty clear that, at least from the roll, from the footage, it looks like he's going into the chamber, because then he proceeds to say a prayer in gratitude for the police officers. And so I think it makes sense that at least you can definitely surmise that he had positive experiences and interactions with the police officer and a couple others before he got into the chamber to do his little prayer on his little phone there. I forget what you call those, whatever, voice horns. I can't remember what they're called, but what's really concerning is what this attorney is saying, that he didn't have any of this footage, and that's completely illegal. And in fact, it might even incriminate the January 6th committee for not sharing this footage, because they had access to it. They had access to all the footage during their review. And if you don't turn over all of the footage, that's what discovery is. If you don't turn over all of the footage in discovery, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that's a huge violation of civil rights and of Supreme Court ruling, and I think of the Constitution in the first place. I also think it's interesting that Chuck Schumer is using his constitutional seat, his authority as a constitutional representative that was delegated to him in the very document that supports and sustains his country. He's then calling for silence and a lack of distribution of this video, which is a First Amendment violation. So he, using his constitutional power, is rejecting the Constitution. I think that's what we see a lot now in politics. You see people rejecting the Constitution with their constitutional power. That's absolutely disgusting and absurd, if you ask me. But this lawyer makes a good point. He says, I'm gonna read the article here. It says, this is from the Daily Wire. He says, we did not receive that footage. We asked for it, and not just once or twice. Whether we asked for it or not is irrelevant, because the government had an absolute non-compromisable duty to disclose the video, and they did not do so. That's true. That's a huge deal. And I would not be surprised if Jacob Chansley gets to appeal his 4-year sentence. It's just under 4 years. He's going to be able to appeal that because of this newfound evidence. They didn't have it. That's completely illegal to retain it and not give it to the defense. So I just think that this is a part of the story you're not hearing as much as the other stuff, like what's going on with Schumer or Carlson or any of the other stuff. But people are calling for the censoring of information, which is absolutely un-American. It's unconstitutional. I was listening to The View, and they said that Tucker Carlson should be, I think, prosecuted for distributing this video. It's video, and you can say whatever you want about the video, but distributing evidence, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't care if it's top secret. The First Amendment protects you from sharing that sort of information. Anyways, I just wanted to close. I appreciate you watching this video. I just wanted to close. There's some hope. There's always hope. Things are dark, but it's never too late. And there's always hope for the future. There's one thing that you can do that's super easy to help stabilize the world, to help the country, to end wars. And that's to pray for your enemies. And that's kind of like my final message. That's like my big thing, is pray for your enemies, and the world will come together and fix itself. And I appreciate you listening, and